Welcome to the Nimbus Consulting Group's presentation on the new state mandate reimbursement program called Domestic Violence Background Checks. This new mandate requires district attorneys and prosecuting city attorneys to perform database searches of persons who are charged with domestic violence, or, when considering domestic violence restraining orders, present the information for consideration by the court under certain circumstances. Since this is a new or first-time program for SB 90, state mandate reimbursement, we can seek reimbursement back to January 1st, 2002. The initial filing will go from January 1st, 2002 through fiscal year 2009-10. Those claims will be due on January 30th of 2012. Now, claims for fiscal year 2010-11 will be due February 15th of 2012. The eligible departments would be the city attorney and the district attorney. There are 3 eligible reimbursable activities for this program. The time spent to perform or cause to be performed in specified electronic databases a thorough investigation of the defendant's history. To present information to the court, the DA or prosecuting city attorney sends relevant information to the other court immediately after the order has been issued. This all comes from a bill that was sponsored by the California Alliance Against Domestic Violence. This bill was actually patterned after a Massachusetts law that was enacted after a woman, despite a restraining order in effect, was killed by a former boyfriend. Unbeknownst to the victim and the court issuing the restraining order, the former boyfriend had a long history of criminal violent behavior. The legislation known as Kristen's Law was enacted after wide publicity and lobbying by the woman's father, a journalist, who tracked down the criminal history of the boyfriend after the killing. This California bill was Senate Bill No. 66, Statute 2001, Chapter 572. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the activity of to perform or cause to be performed in specified electronic databases a thorough investigation of the defendant's history. This would include but not limited to prior convictions for domestic violence, other forms of violence or weapon offenses, and any current protective or restraining order issues by any civil or criminal court. Some of the readily accessible or reasonably accessible electronic databases would include the Violent Crime Information Network, the VCIN, the Supervised Release File, the State Summary Criminal History Information maintained by the Department of Justice pursuant to Section 11105 of the Penal Code. Okay, the next activity was to present the information for consideration by the court. So this information should be presented for consideration by the court when setting bond or when releasing a defendant on his or her own recognizance at the arraignment. If the defendant is in custody, and upon consideration of any plea agreement, if determining bail or release upon a plea agreement, the court shall consider the safety of the victim's children, and any other person who may be in danger if the defendant is released. Okay, our last activity that's eligible under this program involves if a protective or restraining order is issued in the current criminal proceeding, and if the investigation reveals a current civil protective or restraining order issued by another criminal court involving the same or related parties, the prosecuting attorney sends information regarding the contents of the order issued in the criminal proceeding and any other information regarding a conviction of the defendant to the other court after the order has been issued. When requested, the information described in the subdivision may be sent to the appropriate family, juvenile, or civil court. When requested and upon showing of a compelling need, the information described in this section may be sent to a court in another state. This includes the Nimbus Consulting Group's presentation on the SB 90 or state mandate reimbursement program called Domestic Violence Background Checks. For more information, please email us at info@nimbusconsultinggroup.com, or you can give us a call, or we do post information on our blog as well.